The federal election campaign in the seat of Flinders is heating up, with tensions continuing to rise between key candidates. In a recent interview with STPL News, One Nation candidate Mike Brown offered further insight into his exchanges with independent Ben Smith, as well as the fallout between Jason Smart and Clive Palmer's trumpet of patriots.
Okay. Well, the main reason I put my hand up because no one else was, and I was semi-retired, recovering from a heart condition, AF, as a result of a cycling accident and also the COVID vaccination. And then while I've been recovering and everything, I noticed the amount of BS, or I call it Ben Smith, or BS, out there with boards and everything everywhere. And as a concerned father of 7 adult children and 9 grandchildren, I couldn't stand by and just watch. It was just I could see it was a con, and all of the preferences and people that, even though he says he doesn't have preferences, Ben Smith is definitely standing for the Teals. He's got Simon Holmes at court providing money. I actually met Simon at one of Ben's thing. I got there, and before I really got active, I stepped into one of his campaign meetings and got to talk to Ben and got to talk to Simon and realised there was an agenda. And no one gives millions of dollars into a campaign for one person and doesn't expect a return on investment. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I've been in business myself. I've run a real estate advocacy office. I've been an advocate for 20 years, keeping agents honest, Mike Brown advocacy. Yep. And a safer way to sell your home, which is what I've traded as for a long time. And my integrity is everything to me.
Absolutely.
And I can't see it at the moment in a lot of the the government and the people there that are supposed to be public servants. I haven't seen many public servants serving the public for a long time.
When asked if he believes that the protest vote will be strong and if the community is fed up with the Labor Liberal duopoly, Brown said,
Absolutely. Unfortunately, though, when you've got a hung parliament, you've got Conservatives with less members than the Labor and Greens put together and all the crossbenchers and now the Teals. So the Labours, your Liberals can't get anything really done. They have to do deals. They have to make compromises. And every time you make a compromise, you have to put your integrity on the line, or you put the people under the bus. Yep. And unfortunately, they haven't had a chance to really rule as a conservative Liberal party for a long time. They haven't had a majority for a long time. And so having Pauline Hanson and One Nation now with 150 candidates all across Australia, the hope is, for me, my hope is that we can keep the buggers honest.
Yep.
Because Pauline's the only one since 1997 who stood up for truth. She's told us that we can't afford to have, the zero emissions by 2032. And surprise, surprise, they extended it to 2050. She's told them that immigration, if we don't have enough housing, is just going to destroy our opportunities for our young people and cripple our economy. And guess what's happened? And she gets called a racist because of her views. And this is it's trial by media, and people are so swayed. I mean, you have a powerful position as a media personality or person, even on the internet. And so what you put out there influences a lot of people. And there are people who are less reputable who will control the dialogue, will control the message, and the public just laps it up because Google is their god.
Yes, it is.
And if Google doesn't tell you it's true, it's not true. There are some good pollies out there.
Yeah.
But I tell you, I've met Ben Smith, and he's not one. He's a sheep in wolf's clothing. Mate, he's a wolf in sheep's clothing, I should say. He came to my church. He tried to solicit my preferences. I had nothing to gain by meeting with him. He wanted to come to my house. I said, no, my wife's got pneumonia. He came to my church.
Yep.
It's all recorded.
So that was all with... So that interaction that you guys have had in the past, that was instigated by Ben Smith himself, is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. I was camped outside his... And I've got video of it. I've got all the film and everything. I was camped outside Dramana at his wine thing where he was giving all wine and cheese and caviar to his 600, 500 roomies, and his supporters. Sorry, and I was camped out lonely in my wife's $10,000 Beamer, parked out there with my One Nation sign, so I could wave the banner at the people coming out, the volunteers,
Yep.
and say there is an option, conservative option. You know what I mean? Because I thought at that time that he would be conservative. I thought he was going to be a support person for Australian families, and it's all bullshit. He's sold out to the Teals. He sold out to Simon.
Yeah.
Week after I got the gig, I made a decision because of my own background in marketing, because I know things. I thought I haven't got the money nor the health to go racing around all over because of my heart condition. I've got AF.
Yep.
I decided I'd go and camp myself with a deck chair and my umbrellas and all my, One Nation propaganda, put it right in front of the driveway outside the Dramana estate, the winery, and I waved the banner and I waved to all the people coming out, all his volunteers with their posters and everything. And he stopped with his yellow and black sign-written car and asked for my phone number. So I gave it to him out loud over across
Yep.
the road. And then he rang me the next day and asked if he could come he texted me and said, can I come and meet you? And I said, yeah. I said, you want to go for coffee or something? He said, and I said, no. Well, he said, no, I don't want to somewhere public. Let's go private. He said, can I come to your house? And my wife and I said, no, because she's sick. She had pneumonia.
Yep.
And so I suggested we go to my church at St. Mark's in Dramana. And we went there and I told him to come through the side door if he was worried about being seen by camera, because there's been people following us around with cameras, and I'd noticed there was someone over at the bus stop. And anyway, it's weird, he came through the front door, and I said, I wouldn't let him in, I sent him round the side, he came in the side, and turns out someone had been spying and taking photos of me and him and ended up in the Australian, so
Yes.
he said I threw him under a bus, which I didn't. I don't know how it got to the public, but it did, whether it was the Liberals or whether it was himself.
When talking on the subject of Jason Smart and his decision to withdraw from the Trumpet of Patriots, Brown said,
We met, and before this happened, we'd organised that we were going to give each other our, at the polling, when
Yep.
when they allocated the position on the ballot, we were there, as you do at the AEC, and he got the number one position on the ballot, and I got the middle. And we both decided, because both of our conservative thoughts, and as fathers and as citizens, we decided that the things that we personally believed were aligned, and at the time, what the Trumpets of Patriots were actually promoting on their brochures and everything were very similar to One Nation.
Yep.
And my party, Pauline Hanson One Nation, gave me permission to give second preference to him, and then number 3 going through to the Liberals, and he did the same. So he was putting preferences 2 to me and 3 to Joe. That's what we talked about. And then Friday morning, surprise, Clive sends him the big bombshell, and he suddenly finds himself looking at a sheet which he gave me. He sent it straight to me that morning. And he said, mate, I've been thrown under a bus.
Yeah.
He said, I've been fucked. And he said, now I'm having a look at this and go, what do I do? He said, I don't want to stay in this party. I said, well, don't, resign, mate. And I said, you can come and help me, and we're going to give these assholes a run for their money and try and get the Conservative vote to sort of help Joe cement her rule, because she needs to be able to get back in so that we can actually get Albanese out and give Pauline Hanson a chance to fix this duopoly and get them a conscience, make them public servants again the way they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
They're not public servants, they're working for themselves, for the Corporation of Australia. Everything they've privatised and sold off is criminal. So you mean Clive Palmer?
Yes.
Yeah, no, he's an arsehole, pardon the language, and he's done this. He did this with the UAP.
Yeah, the United Palmer, whatever you call it, the Palmer United Party. Yep.
He did the same thing with them, and he closed it down like 2 weeks after the election.
Yeah.
He'll do the same with the TOP. 2 weeks after the election or 4 weeks after the election, he'll shut it down. He doesn't care. He's got more money than he knows what to do with, and he's probably got maybe a few years left if he's lucky.
Yeah, well, that's right.
He's just a wrecker. He doesn't like the Liberal Party. He's pissed off with them, and he's trying just the same as Simon Holmes à Court. He hates the Liberals. He's always had beef. He's the spoiled brat, and he's pissed off with his old dad.
Yep.
And they didn't get along, and now he's taken it out on the Liberal Party, which Robert actually supported.
Yep. Bring in the wrecking ball. Yeah.
Bring in the wrecking ball. Well, that's what Robert was. He bought companies, stripped them of their assets, sold them off. What do you think the Teals are doing? Teals are doing the same thing. They're getting nice guys like Ben, who was a lovely guy, and then he gets down the rabbit hole with $1 million in his debt chamber, and they basically say, you better keep going, mate, because you've got a lot of money you've got to recoup. And you get to Canberra, we're going to come calling.
Well, that's right.
Who's going to call the marker in? Yeah.
Nothing's for free. And
no one's giving me anything. No one's giving me shit for free.
Yeah.
I've had to work my butt off ever since I was 16. So I'm still in there fighting, and I'm still doing what I need to do. And I've looked after my family the best I could. And so now I'm stepping out of my comfort level to take this on, but because someone has to do it.
This interview was brought to you by STPL News.